Okay, so I am going to try to do this video. Sorry if I'm not speaking clearly. Also, if I'm talking slowly, please speed up the video. You know what I'm saying? Like, save yourself time. And life is speeding by, guys. So especially in this particular dimension. So let's make the most of it. Let's not waste any time. And if I like I said in previous videos, if I talk too slowly, just speed up that video. Extract the information in half the time, if you're even remotely interested in anything that I am saying. I'm sorry. I don't know if you can see this. Yeah, I had this pen, I had this paperback, and I'm like, this is the visual aid. So you can actually access this online, and it's probably nicer and more clear. Yeah. What I drew here, and I don't know if it's going to be backwards on this video, is basically the emotional scale. And if we were to touch on basics, what are emotions? Emotions are energy in motion. What are we? We are comprised of energy. That is what animates this body. That is what basically creates matter, And because we are able as human beings to consciously experience these range of emotions through feelings, through senses, through sensory, what is that? Sensory systems in our body. We are able to consciously experience these emotions. I broke it down. Basically, if you look at it, everything is in a spiral. And that's why I say with people who loop things, they kind of stay stuck in a particular segment of the spiral. And the spiral either goes upwards or it goes downwards, downward spiral, downward, so negative, positive. Sorry if I'm not the best at explaining this, but this is how it's going to go. So if you go to the negative downward spiral spectrum of the emotional scale, energy and motion scale, you will feel at the bottom, it's fear. Okay? Fear, grief, depression. And then as you kind of go up this negative range of emotions, you go to insecurity and guilt, jealousy, hatred and rage, revenge, anger, discouragement, blame, worry, doubt, disappointment, overwhelm, frustration, impatience, pessimism, boredom is the neutral point, before you can go upward spiral to feelings of contentment, hopefulness, optimism, positive belief, enthusiasm, happiness, passion, joy, appreciation, empowerment, freedom, love, and peace. And I feel like when you are, I want to say, experiencing the positive emotions, energy and motion, you are being more authentically yourself. And this can be also, I want to say, referred to as heaven and hell. Because think about it, when you're in a negative emotional space, it literally feels like hell, right? Like when you're afraid, when you're guilty, when you're jealous, when you're angry, when you're wanting revenge or anger, when you're worrying, when you're doubting, when you're disappointed, overwhelmed, frustrated, pessimistic, that's kind of like being in hell. Because you're viewing life through that lens, through a lower vibrational lens. And then when you are happy and optimistic and grateful and excited and passionate and free, you're in heaven, right? Because you can be more your authentic self. You're not limiting yourself by staying in these lower vibrational emotions, and that is why people are be positive and shit, right? But you can't really be positive until you clear this region of the emotional scale. You have to kind of And a lot of people bypass this stuff and then they regress and then they wonder like why their life is and why they are the way they are. It's like, well, you didn't really clear this aspect of the scale yet, you know. And in order to, like, I want to say, graduate to different tiers of the emotional scale, you really have to experience it. In order to experience it, you have to feel it, you have to allow it, you have to accept it. You know, you can't repress it, you can't push it to the side and pretend it's not there, because it's there, it's still there. So I think, like, for, I don't know, highly sensitive people, highly spiritual people, INFJs, whatever, all labels, right? Human being, spiritual being having a human experience. You literally have to pass through all these different tiers in order to gain access to heaven. You know what I'm saying? Am I making sense? Am I not making sense? I don't know. This is like the best way to explain it. I don't know. And most people, I don't think, you know, it's so funny. So like, I always like see things in terms of energy, vibration, and frequency. And when I try to tell like people who are less aware, they're just like, they think either I'm one crazy, two, they get really triggered because they don't understand and they don't want to understand because they're comfortable staying in these lower vibrational frequencies and they don't have any desire to rise up out of it, you know. So it's like when they're in these emotional states, it's just like, you know, as a high vibrational being who's like, I want to say operating from this area predominantly, you trigger them, you trigger their demons, and then they attack you because they don't want their illusion to be dismantled. You know what I'm saying? And they're very comfortable staying in these particular states, which, like I said, is the heaven and hell. You know, most people want to stay here. And what can you do about that? Nothing. Just be yourself, you know? That's, just be yourself. And then people who are interested in ascending will listen to you and understand you. And people who don't want to ascend, they will stay in place and they will be triggered and they will constantly not be happy with their life or themselves, and they will never be authentically themselves. And there's nothing you can do about that except look at them. And then what is that? Radical acceptance, respect that that's what they choose to do with themselves in their life, and continue being you. Okay, that was like a really I don't know, shoddy way of explaining that. Yeah, I don't know, when I try to talk to like people who are in the lower vibrational scale of the emotional spectrum, they just don't want to hear what I have to say. They're not even open. They're just like, I don't want to hear it. It's almost like painful for you to exist in their experience. But then I think pain is a transformative agent. So, you know, whether they learn or not, you know, at least you're kind of triggering them into self-awareness and the possibility of ascending, whatever. I don't know if I'm making sense, but I hope you're having a beautiful day. Yeah, and I think as highly sensitive people or empaths, we have definitely traversed all of those emotions on that whole spectrum. And that is why we can be more of ourselves, right? Because we've done the inner work. I mean, I've sat with fear and grief and depression many times over. I don't know, I could keep talking, but it's going to get boring, so I'm going to stop it. I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful day. Amen.